Hey everybody, welcome back inside the Stash Project. This is going to be our special coverage video of the All of Japan Model and Hobby Show that just took place in Tokyo, Japan this past weekend. It was a sort of an odd set of circumstances with this show, in addition to it being in Tokyo, so several of the people who I regularly depend on for photographs not being close enough to attend like they are with the Shizuoka show in May. There was also a incredibly large typhoon about to tear Japan into another dimension, so the show closed early on one of the days, the last day on Sunday. Travel people, really weren't traveling because they're preparing to weather a tropical event. So we did get photos, and I like to try to give credit to everybody I took the photos from in terms of images that were shared on Facebook and things like that. But suffice it to say, it was a lot of just random photo pulls from a lot of different guys in Japan. So if we used your photos, I hate to say congratulations because it makes it sound so uppity, but thanks for providing some great pictures that we could share with everybody else. Some of the pictures come from Hobby Search, some pictures come from Hobby Link Japan, and the rest come from just private, everyday, run-of-the-mill Japanese model builders. Not to say that in an insulting way, but they're not professionally taking pictures for websites or anything like that. They're just photos that were shared on Facebook and other services. So that being said, what do we have to talk about? Well, we have pretty much coverage of everything that we needed to get pictures of eventually through the weekend. We have all of the new kits from Hasegawa, be they reissues or honest new tool kit. Tamiya's 370Z Heritage Edition. We have some stuff from Aoshima, some stuff from BMAX, which based on the fact that we didn't tell you about things last week that were going into the show because they fell just after we filmed the regular weekly show, plus a surprise announcement they made at the show. There's a bunch of stuff out there that you guys may not realize is coming. And then we also had another announcement from Nunu Hobby as well that was completely, not off the radar because, again, I knew there was something coming that I couldn't tell you guys about. However, it was, a surprise I think most people will be happy with. Enjoy modern race cars, let's put it that way. Obviously, when you deal with Nunu and BMAX, you're getting race cars, whether you like it or not. I see a lot of people comment in their comment sections about making things into street kits, and, well, that's just not going to happen for you. So, be that as it may. So, let's start with Tamiya. That's the easiest place, right? Because obviously it's just one kit. It's a modified reissue. And it is their Nissan 370Z Heritage Edition. So this is the kit we've already talked about. We already know that this kit is going to get a November release. And they were on hand with a couple of built prototypes, or actually probably built kits at this point, showing the two different ways that this kit is available in 2018, that being its yellow and black liveries, if you will. This car, as it stands in 2018, was only available with the Heritage Edition upgrades as either a yellow car or a black car. Now, we've talked about before, 2019, the Heritage Edition continues on for another year, mainly because there were only a few 2018 cars built with this package, and the color palette, if you will, expands to blue, red, and white as well. Now, all of the cars, except the black one, use the black stripes. The black car, as you saw in the pictures, uses the silver stripes. So here's the picture of some of the parts runners, sort of showing off some of the other Z kits there in the background. You can't really see it because of how small this picture is showing up to you guys, but that little thing in the middle there that says, that has a little red block and then it's sort of blown out by the flash, it says Heritage Edition. So you see here that for the Heritage Edition, this kit is getting a grand total of, if you include the wheels, 8 parts. There's a new front grille opening down there on the interior runner. There's a new front bumper that has been tooled into the body parts runner. They are a new set of wheels, and then you have window pieces for the turn signals in the new front bumper. This kit does come with both the black and the silver striping, which is handy because I really do like the black version of this, probably the best out of the options, although the dark blue one is pretty nice as well. Window masks, which I believe were actually in the original 370Z kit. I had to pull mine out to make sure, but hey, window masks, we'll take them every time regardless. And then that's it. That's all that's really new about this kit. It does appear that this kit is being molded as far as the body goes in that banana yellow. Looks like everything else is going to be black. So take that for what it's worth. You know, might be another reason to paint the car black because, hey, that'll bury the yellow for sure. But this kit is available, just like the original 370Z kit was, as an export spec car as well. So it will have a left-hand drive dashboard, a left-hand drive scuttle panel, and the left-hand drive windshield wipers. Now, the original 370Z kit that came out in 2008 has all of those parts too, so it's no shock or surprise that this one was also available with left-hand drive because, again, there's only 8 new pieces to the entire kit. Is it, you know, anything to get excited about? Depends on how big of a fan of Nissan you are. I personally like it regardless as to what it is, just simply because there has been no sort of updated kit for the Nissan 370Z. The 370Z has been soldiering on now for close to a decade, and it did get a refresh. I want to say it was in 2015 or so, maybe even earlier than that, and Tamiya, for whatever reason, never updated their kit to the current body style, and that, I mean, granted, current body style is pretty much just the front fascia on this you know, car in 1/1 scale, but now it has been accomplished. So there is that from Tamiya. Again, just a little thing. I think that kit is selling pre-selling for $27 over in Japan. So that you know, nothing too extravagantly expensive there, and really shouldn't be because, of course, not a whole heck of a lot new. So we'll go over to, and my pictures are sort of scattered all over the place here, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to go about this. Let's go over to Aoshima next. We'll talk about 2 kits that are not necessarily part of the All Japan Toy and Model and Hobby Show because they are kits that were announced prior to and were supposed to be released either in the upcoming month here in October, or should have already been released in the past. So the kit that is coming out this month, hopefully, is this, which is the Pingani Warrior next version, the Pachetto Tempesta. You can see here they have a built test shot of it, which still doesn't quite look like the front end fits quite correctly on. And you, as far as the way the front hood, if you will, it's not really technically a hood because it's a rear-engine car, but you know what I mean. The bonnet, haha. Doesn't look like it still doesn't quite fit, but you see the parts that you're going to get here that are new. They are a new set of wheels, the front and rear diffuser areas, actually, it's a whole new front bumper and front diffuser, and then there are a couple of pieces there for the engine that are specific to the Pachetto Tempesta as well. So it doesn't look like they necessarily replicated the specific Tempesta suspension pieces, but in all likelihood, due to the fact that, of course, this car has, you know, a flat belly pan with just some aero panels, you wouldn't really be able to see it anyway. So I guess I can go with that being acceptable, if you will. There is going to be a photo etch set. I don't actually not one for this car specifically, but they did do a photo etch set for the original Pingani, which I assume would also fit this car as well, since there really isn't anything about it that's terribly different in terms of logos and gauges and things like that. So that's also something that exists out there that you can detail up your kit with. Of course, Studio Toys, or not Studio Toys, but Hobby Design rather, has a rather robust detail up set for that as well. That's close to $50 if you really want to go all out on one. The other pre-existing kit that has nothing to do with the show itself would be this, and it is the twin Nissan Skyline R34 four-door kits, the 25 GT turbos from 2001. You see they finally have both production shots here. The blue car is the standard kit. The silver car is the optional wheel kit, which, as we talked about before, just has TE37 wheels on it, so nothing spectacular there in terms of wheels. What is interesting, looking at this parts layout, however, is the fact that they have gone with a completely separated front clip. This sort of mirrors the way the Pro Box is set up, which I guess will allow them to do other versions of this car, obviously. That would be why you would do that. I'm not exactly sure what other versions of this car are necessarily floating around in their minds as far as doing this. I know there's a lesser trim version of the R34 that's not a 25 GT Turbo. But the 25 GT Turbo is basically as close as you can get to a four-door R34 GTR as possible. It just doesn't have all-wheel drive. So, you know, they could make a lesser trimmed model. It's kind of interesting that they molded this body with the open sunroof. You don't have the choice to not have it, which may be a situation with the 1.1 car. I'm not that intimately familiar with it, where the GT Turbo only came with a sunroof. But be that as it may, you get the overall gist of the parts layout here. Not an overtly complicated kit. Obviously, it's a curbside, but you do get, you know, the overall gist of what's going on here. Obviously, the front bumpers and back bumpers being all molded separately, so they can do other trim with that. The fenders and the hood being molded separately obviously indicate to me that there are other versions of this kit, of this car, that exist in real life that they could do that requires a different front clip, basically, and obviously molding that all separately, assuming that it fits back together again, obviously is the most cost-efficient way to make numerous variations out of this tooling. The little Japanese thing in there at the center that has, that's in between the two kits, is their apology for delaying the kit due to production issues, and they expect to have it out at the end of November. So people who have had that kit pre-ordered since basically April, because it was supposed to come out in August, actually supposed to come out in July, you know, fear not, it's coming for sure. It's not, it hasn't been canceled or anything else like that. The only other couple of things we have to talk about as far as Aoshima goes, they're direct from the show, are a few little things that I wanted to show you, because a lot of the things they have coming in the fall, of course, are just reboxed things into the model car line. We did see, and I don't have a good picture of it, that they are including basically a new set of side skirts and a couple of different pieces being tooled up for the S15 Nissan Silvia kit that they're going to be doing, that can be built either as a Type R or a Type S. They have had a Type R in the past, but they have not had a Type S, so it turns out that you actually do need a few more pieces in order to make a Type S than what was in the kit, so good to see them tooling those parts up. We'll show you this real quick. Most people who have been in the hobby long enough know about the MGB kits that have been done in the past. They are reissuing them. The reason I'm showing you this one in particular, the one with the Urthane bumpers, if you have an original one, you know they spelled urethane wrong. They have tooled up a new set of wheels for this. Now, they have clearly not done anything about the four-wheel drive stance that these kits have out of the box, both it and the classic one that is more from the 1960s. So you do have to do a little adjustment if you want them to sit down a little bit closer. Has sort of a revel suspension thing going on there. But these have new wheels tooled up for them, so that's kind of an interesting thing. I'd have to dig mine out to see what the wheels were what wheels came with the urethane kit. I have both kits, original 1990 versions of them, but I really haven't paid attention to what wheels were in them and how correct or not correct they were for a 1974 MGB. So anyway, that's coming, and then we have sort of the built test shot of the next of the Liberty Walk kits, the version 2 Type 1, that adds a new front clip. Basically, so there's new rear pieces to this as well, but there's new exhaust in this. It still continues to carry the original wheels out of the first kit, but this adds back the GT3 wing out of the version 2 and or the version 1.5 kit. Also, now this kit has great big front canards, or winglets, however you want to describe them, on the front fascia. And like I said, the back fascia, we have a new exhaust system, and I believe it's a new rear diffuser as well. This kit would feature the parts from the most recent kit before it, which adjusts this to a 2017 spec overall appearance package. And yeah, now we're 4 of these into this kit, and or this overall design. I kind of like this copper color that the prototype is in. That notwithstanding, we're creeping into that how many of them do you need territory, and that's never a good thing as far as I'm concerned, because we have learned nothing in the overall course of time with U.S. manufacturers rather trying to get into a Japanese style release schedule where we're going to release 5 kits of very, very minorly reconfigured parts. You can saturate the market very fast with that. Now, that being said, those kits have been very popular for Aoshima. They have had to do second runs for all 3 of the previous ones, so I guess demand continues. And for people that are very large fans of course, the new generation GTR, as well as Liberty Work and Liberty Walk in general. I guess, you probably could never have too much. Again, I've said when this kit was announced, I would much rather have a Murcielago or an Aventador or anything else other than that. I know that those things exist from Hobby Design, but at the same time, obviously, Aoshima has the licensing. Aoshima obviously has an Aventador and a Murcielago base kit, and I'd much rather pay them $35, $40 for a injected plastic kit than I would pay Hobby Design $150 for a resin kit. If somebody's going to get my money, I'd rather have it just be Aoshima and be done with it. I realize for certain things, like Ferrari, Liberty Walk stuff, okay, I've got to go to Hobby Design for that because the only two people that would be able to do it otherwise would be Fujimi or Tamiya, and neither one of those is going to be cracking them out anytime real soon. So that will take us over to Hasegawa. Now, Hasegawa has been a little bit of an interesting situation as far as pictures go because there really seem to be no rhyme or reason the way people were taking pictures of them. A lot of people took pictures of the actual display kits, but they didn't necessarily take pictures of the parts runners that went with them, which is kind of frustrating for me because I like showing you guys that stuff so you can see specifically what new parts are coming in a kit. It's one thing for me to say, well, it has a new this and a new that and a new other thing. It is, of course, obviously much better for all of us if you see it visually what's coming. So bear with me. This is as good as it's going to get for some of this stuff, but it's, I think, all right as well, or else I wouldn't even be bringing it up for you. A couple of things I just want to show you real quick, and those are the reissue of the classic American series. These were the Route 66 series. Now they're just the Lowrider C and the Lowrider T because I don't know if they're necessarily paying for American licensing of these kits to use the names, but there is, of course, the 66 Cadillac with its flame Lowrider stance style thing there, as well as the 66 Ford Thunderbird with its sort of lowrider stance. The interiors in these, as it turns out from looking them over, are not nearly as shallow as I remember them being. Perhaps it is a different Hasegawa kit that I was looking at where I remember them being quite as shallow as they are. They do tend to have, at least for the Cadillac, a flat dashboard with like no engraving whatsoever, and all of the gauges and buttons and dials and everything like that are done in decals, which is not exactly the most 3D thing in the world, but how much time do you really spend peering into the windows of your car? It's a curbside, obviously, sort of a simplified chassis. But then you get into how much time does your car spend on its roof. So it all depends on what you're looking for out of a model kit. Like I said, those more than likely are going to be primarily and easily obtained from Japan directly, rather than trying to wait for them to come into stock. Somebody pointed out that there is a place in the United States that is carrying them. However, they want basically 2.5 times as much as they're charging for them in Japan, and the place is a well-known con, basically, a rip-off place. It is, in fact, if you know your history well enough, the people that started the whole controversy about the Tamiya minimum advertised pricing nonsense that we had to stop at everything and make a whole video about earlier this spring. If you don't remember that, or you're new to the channel, you don't even know what I'm talking about, just go back and search the Tamiya map video, and you'll catch yourself up. Basically, it was a whole bunch of hullabaloo about absolutely nothing that affected you in your day-to-day life. So there's one new toolkit straight out of Hasegawa, that is the RC91, the Nissan Group C car. They had a prototype on display. This appears to be sort of a cross between a 3D print and a test shot. Some of the things look a little rough for being a actual injection molded test shot. So there is, like I said, that, and their parts layout for this was not an actual parts layout. It was more like a map, a 3D map. So here is that. Sort of gives you the idea what we're looking for in the actual kit itself. As expected, this is not a full detail kit. I told you guys when this was announced to expect a more simplified kit along the lines of all of their other Group C kits. I will say this probably looks like it has about maybe, I'd say about 15, 20 parts more than one of their normal Group C car kits has, so it's a little more detailed than some of them have been in the past, but it's not terribly overly more detailed. It does appear that you do get a transaxle type of thing. It looks like that would show through the bottom of the rear of the chassis pan. So there's no engine itself, but like I said, it does look like you get the transmission half of the works, as it were. Lots of suspension arms involved there and things like that. But so if you're interested in the Group C cars, that is coming out in the I believe November is when that one is supposed to come. Let me take a peek here. That may be a December kit. Yep, it is actually a December kit. So let me look at this and tell you about these in the order that they're going to come out. Then let's see if there's anything else. So the November kit that is coming out, that is a modified reissue, and it was very good. Another thing it was kind of hard to find parts for, but here's the prototype photos of it. Is the updated modified tooling of the Mitsubishi Colt Galant, and now this time it is going to be a GSR, as they want to call it, a 2000 GTO. A Mitsubishi Colt Galant GTO 2000 GSR. That is the official title of this nonsense. So this has a new front clip, a new rear clip. The over fenders are going to be new. They're separate from the body. There's a whole new chassis for this kit, actually, a new exhaust. There's a new rear seat for it. It's a whole bunch of new interior parts in general. Also a new set of wheels, a new set of tires involved here as well. This car is available in a number of different colors from the factory. It's not just white, but it does appear that from the shot I'm going to show you next, that it only comes with like these blue, red and blue outlined side stripes, and those are not necessarily what some of the other car colors used. They did show an orange one at one point in time that had black stripes, so it's kind of interesting to see why that was not done and only the blue stripes were. And what I mean, I would assume that the blue and red trim would go on the white car and maybe a few other colors, but not a whole heck of a lot other things. The black stripes would have been, offered you more options. So there's this picture here, which shows you a whole bunch of stuff that we're going to talk about in a second here, but it does show you sort of in the background there some of the parts for the GTO. That's going to be that blackboard behind the guy who's pointing at the decals for the kit. So you see the over fenders there. You see the front fascia is on the sprue with the over fenders. Then you have the back part there. You see new front seats, new tires, a bunch of new glass, and some interior pieces there. And then there's more of it above it, but unfortunately that's all that there is of these pictures, and I've looked through pretty much everybody's pictures, and that's all the better it got for some reason. So the next kit we're going to talk about is this in the foreground here is the Nissan Rico R31 GTS-R JTCC kit. This is going to be coming out in October. So this is done, basically. This is just ready to come out the door. The only parts that were new to this kit are those two, are the wheels there. You got a set of Panasports with this that the original kit did not have. It appears that this kit has been handled a couple of times because it does not look like the body and the chassis are technically mated to one another anymore. The one thing I want to sort of draw your attention to with this, and the whole reason I basically downloaded this picture in the first place, because I got better pictures of the other stuff, is the decal sheet over there. It does appear, at least from the half that we can see, because legitimately you're only seeing about half of the decals, that you're going to paint this as a two-tone. This is not going to be a situation where you get decals for all of this. I don't believe, because it clearly appears to me anyway, that if you look at the top left of what you can see there, those are the spears that run basically from the A-pillar down to the headlight. And then you see there are a set of red stripes there, which if you look at the body are the red stripes that are in front of the word Rico and behind the number 23 on the side panel. So it looks like you're going to have to paint a sort of a parallelogram on each side of the car, as well as the spoiler, which is no big deal because it's a separate part anyway, and then the roof, which then will have a decal for the top edge of the roof that will, make those two red stripes across the top, very back before the back window. Is it the easiest thing in the world? Two-tone wise, probably not, but at the same time, I believe, at least from the looks of it, that the kit is molded in white. It looks like everything underneath of it that's poking out and showing is white. I think it's molded in white anyway. Because if it's molded in red, it's going to be awful. So I'm assuming it's molded in white. There's been never anything that said what color is going to be molded in the literature for it. But I'm assuming since the stripes are red instead of the stripes being white, that white is the color that it is. At least you can paint the red and the white two-tone with it being white. A heck of a lot easier than trying to paint those doors on the roof white with everything else is red. So there is that, and here, while we're just sort of idly chit-chatting about it, is a better shot of it, giving you an overall look at the kit itself. From this angle, it appears that it has not been molested by anyone just as of yet, but it definitely does appear that the chassis itself is white rather than being another color. So, and it also doesn't look like, to me anyway, that anyone would bother to paint that spoiler before they put it on. It looks like it's just raw white plastic. So the next kit in that series of kits from Hasegawa that's coming out is the street version of the R31, the Nismo one that celebrated the I'm trying to think what it is, the 30th anniversary of the Skyline name entirely. So in 1987, the Skyline name was 30 years old. Obviously, the Skyline was a four-door family car, much like it is today, before it became a two-door sports car and then a two-door coupe, until it became a GTR again in the 1990s. But here gives you an idea of what you get in new parts-wise here. New front fascia, new rear deck, new front lip spoiler, new spoiler itself. You got a brand new set of mesh wheels with this. New set of lights for the headlights and the taillights, since those are a little bit different. And then you have a new set of reflectors for the tail light there as well. Obviously, a new decal sheet. Now, there were only a handful of these things made, like 1,000 of them made specifically to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the Skyline. And this car is technically a GTS, which is one trim level, performance level down from the GTS R, which was the homogenization car that they only built 831 of, rather, to go Group A racing. So a little bit of a different way they went about the streetcar kit. There's still a couple of other things they could do with this in terms of streetcar. So it'll be interesting to see how many R31s we end up getting all told, because there's at least 2 more trim levels to go, and then you start getting into like specialty cars and other things like that. And like I said, possibly backdating it to an R30, because it's not that far off, at least in terms of the dirty bits running gear, that sort of thing. And let me see if there's anything else Hasegawa that I wanted to talk about. There are other kits coming out of Hasegawa, but they're minor revisions. Oh, there's 2 more things we want to talk about. So first up, we have this, which is the next of the Isuzu Gemini kits. This will represent a 1987 Imscher Turbo, which did not have the big engine, and it actually had a forced air turbo, if you will. So there's only 2 new pieces for this kit, and that is the hood and the steering wheel. So the hood has the intake duct built into it, not a quack, but a piece of ducting. And then you have the new steering wheel for that as well. It's technically, it's a JT150, whereas the other one's a JT161. So it's all about engine displacement. The JT150 is a 1500cc. The JT160 is a 1.6 liter. Different engines. Again, the 1.5 was a naturally aspirated turbo, if you will. I know that's not quite technically a real thing, but it had a bigger air draw on it, requiring the new hood. And then the other kit that has a bunch of significantly new parts to it is this, which is the reissue of the Nissan 240Z in the Monte Carlo Rally livery. Now, when we read about this, it seemed like it was only maybe going to be like a left-hand drive dashboard, and that was going to be it. There's actually going to be several new pieces, as you can see here. Now, some stuff is highlighted and some stuff isn't. And so what you get out of this is a new piece of glass, which is going to be for the front headlights area. There's sort of like a set of not quite like off-road headlights that are involved in this. It was a couple night stages in Monte Carlo. So you have the new front bumper setup that has the new lights on it. So that's the 2 things up there on the the upper right-hand corner. And then you have a left-hand drive dashboard and a left-hand drive windshield wiper, steering wheel, and pedal combo setup, which is the bottom of the far left sprue that is new. And then you have a new front grille area. You have new wheels. You have a new center console, obviously, because in a right-hand drive car, your parking brake is closest to you, so that would you necessitate flipping the console mounting points around so that the parking brake is on the right side, or the correct side, I should say. And then you also have a couple other little bits and pieces that are specific to the Monte Carlo Rally there. So this will be the first time that this kit has ever come with a left-hand drive setup. So if you've been looking for a 240Z and you wanted to kit bash some things, they of course have a couple of different other 240Zs that roll around, civilian street kits. You also need a base for the upcoming Hobby Design Rocket Bunny version with a bunch of over fenders and things like that. That also could be a thing to use with this if you wanted to make a sort of United States version, if you will, with the export version with the left-hand drive. So just a cool set of little upgrades here to a venerable kit. This kit's been around for a while. It's probably tooled in, let's say, the late 1980s or so, and it's pretty much just been reissued 3 different ways. There's 2 street kits, and then there is the Safari Rally kit for the Safari Rally that it won, and it gets reissued at the Safari Rally pretty much every year and a half or so on limited runs. So kind of interesting to see them go out and do something else with the Rally tooling. It did require them, like I said, to tool up a few new pieces in the process. So, some of them being like in the middle of sprues, you kind of hope that they didn't ruin the Rally, the Safari Rally version, and just sort of figure, well, if you haven't bought one by now, you're not going to get one. But you have to find any company that really genuinely destroys their tooling anymore. So that will cover what you get from Hasegawa. So that leaves us basically with Platts, Hobby Nunu, and with the fine folks at BMAX. So BMAX had a number of things up, of course. The one thing that, let's do this from coming out to ethereal, put it that way. Obviously, we've covered in one of the last weekly videos the breakdown of the Lancia Delta S4, which is coming out in December. They had their build test shot of it up. We've already shown you the pictures of that. But one thing they had at the show that was a little bit different is this, and this is the detail upset for the S4, showing you pretty much the 3 pieces of photo etch, which is neither here nor there. But the thing I wanted to show you about this was you are getting, it appears to be 2 sheets of carbon fiber with this kit as well. Part of it looks like it's interior, part of it looks like it is engine compartment, or other. I'm gonna say, like, it appears to be that it looks like that's the inside of the rear hatch, and the ones that look like I'm trying to think what the heck that looks like. It looks like a pipe union for a sewage pipe, actually, are the inner fenders for it. And then moving on to the yellow twill there, you can see there's obviously seats in the middle, and then it's probably going to be the rest that's going to be interior pieces. So, it's a little bit higher price than the normal detail upsets running. They're showing a 33,000 yen price, which is probably going to end up being like a 2,500 yen sale price. $22 for a set of photo etch is a little bit much, but you're going to get some decals with it as well. So there is that. Now, the kit that's actually going to come up before the Lancia Delta S4, they have not forgotten about it, is the Audi Sport Quattro S1E2. So this is going to have the 1986 Monte Carlo Rally version included in this box. So the box is done. This is supposed to ship in October, so the box had better be done. We'll show you this right here, which is the parts layout for the kit. Last time we showed you one of these, it was all in gray plastic. Over there to the left is the 935 Porsche, but that kit already came out 2 months ago. So this gives you an idea what you're going to get. There's a curbside, just like the other kits have been so far. The Lancia Delta S4, remember, is a full detail, but this one is a curbside. Interesting that they molded the wheels themselves in black, but the spare tire in white with the interior. I get why, because the spare tire doesn't need to be on a rim, so it's open, probably drilled open as far as the lugs go, or the holes for the lugs. But those, if you look at the box art, apparently need to be white. So I don't know why you just wouldn't mold them in white, but yeah, whatever. And you have an interior runner there, and the chassis runner, which has the chassis itself in the bottom of the interior pan. You see the decals up there, and what is nice about those is they were not showing them originally when they showed this kit in the last test shot, but it does have the tobacco livery on the decals itself. So you don't have to buy the detail upset to get the tobacco livery decals for this kit like you did with the Bastos M3. Maybe because most people don't realize that is a tobacco livery. It's very innocuous in what it is, but be that as it may, it looks like everything else is there. It looks like there's a nice little metal transfer for the Audi logo for the grill and things like that. But anyway, that is, like I said, the most next thing coming. What is possibly the next thing coming after the release of the S1 would be this. Now, it's just a placeholder. They didn't have the card and the thing here. I think mainly because this is just going to be a set of decals. The little placard down there at the bottom, there's a little red line on the top of it, is telling you that for this kit you need to get the detail upset for the Safari Rally version of the Celica. This version here is the Belga Team Europe version for the Haspengouw Belgian Rally from 1985. So I believe these decals exist out of somebody. It might be Taboo because of the fact that Belga is another tobacco livery. This is one of these things we're just not going to be able to get away from in the release of these 1980s touring and rally and everything else. There's going to be a lot of tobacco liveries because that's just who had the money to support motorsports back then. I'm going to say that this probably might also include the liveries as far as the tobacco liveries go, because if you, I don't know how well it'll show up on your guys' screen, but on my screen, it looks like somebody had to go in there with like a red magic marker and scribble out the decal placement, because it clearly shows there being or placement anyway, for the Belga logos. There's a lady, a profile of a lady's head from the 1920s, which was their logo at the time, that goes above the rear wheels and also in the smack dab center of the roof. And like I said, the color of those logo areas is a different shade of red ever so slightly than the actual printout. So that will be the next modified reissue to come out. I believe this kit in this format solves a problem for me as far as a kit I plan to do. I think that this would successfully be a combination of the off-road and the tarmac kits combined together. I have a set of decals for an ST64 Celica that needed this done. I needed the body itself off of a tarmac car and the entire chassis and running gear off of a Safari car, and I really didn't want to buy 2 more whole Celicas to do that with. So hey, hopefully, if I'm thinking this is what it's gonna, it's going to be what I think it's going to be, then I'll buy this just to build the set of decals that I have. Heck with the Haspengouw Rally aspect of it. So there's that. Like I said, that's probably, January, February, March, first quarter, somewhere in there. That'll be, because again, you're just sort of combining some parts together, creating a new livery, and out the door it goes. There's not a lot of new tooling that goes on with that. So that gets us into our more ethereal state of things, which is the kits that they have announced that were shown in either first round test shots or 3D prototypes. Now, in the first round test shots, you had the first quarter kits as they stand. Well, I should say first quarter, the first half of 2019 kits as they stand. And they are the 2 Mitsubishis that were announced back at Shizuoka. So we're getting the first round test shots of the Mitsubishi Galant rally car. The background photo, which I don't have here, showed a Advan logo for the Royal Auto Club, otherwise known as the Rack Rally. For this, so they pretty much have an idea of what they want to do with this as far as the livery goes. So that means would indicate to me that the licensing process is pretty far along with this. If you're already designing and adapting to what the livery is going to be here. There's a sort of a 3D background back there that was a blow up of the kit, but we've already shown that before. So it's nice to see this in, so at least partially in injected plastic. There's, some pieces, obviously the window pieces are a little dicey because they're not polished out yet, but that was there. And then you also have this, which is the other Mitsubishi that is going on, and that is the Mitsubishi Starion Group A car. So this is more than likely going to have some sort of Japanese touring car livery, possibly a Ghia Race of Macau livery. One thing we've noticed about this car specifically is that it does not have a molded in engine bottom or anything like that. There's a very large gap in the chassis itself. And the kit, as it's molded, does not have the hood on. And so when you look at the 3D rendering, which is in the background, which is blurry, I know you can't see it, it does show an engine. However, I have to believe that because of the way the rest... By the way, you can see the Advan rack thing in the background there too, I realized. The way this is shown in its 3D prototyping, it doesn't show a top to the engine. It does not show an engine bay. They're very, very proud of the fact that the Lancia Delta S4 is going to be full detail, and they have gone out of their way to show the fact that it has an engine. So that indicates to me that this does not. It is going to have some sort of bottom of the engine insert that is going to go in there with the front suspension. This car also could serve as a couple different variations of Group A racing, and there was also a tarmac rally version of this car, and they also started taking the Starion and turning it into sort of an all-wheel drive Group B rally car that was never saw fruition because Group B rally, of course, died too soon. So what all they plan to do with this, we'll see over the course of time. But I'm thinking that the engine, the bottom of the engine, suspension components being completely separate, the hood and the front bumper and everything being separate has less to do with there being, oh my god, an engine in this, and the fact that it will be much easier to do further variants of the kit by making those parts separate. Sorry, but that is what I believe to be the truth with that. The last thing is in a test shot, and this is one of these things we showed you that day, that there was a huge data dump to Spot Model that all got taken back. Well, this one for sure is still coming. Actually, they're all still coming. I talked to somebody. But at any rate, the first one that's going to be coming out of that data dump is this, which is the BMW 320i E46 generation Super 2000 touring car. Now, these cars saw a several-year run in Europe. Specifically, they had a one-year run at the Ghia Race of Macau in this format, which about, I want to say, half the field, if not more of them, were BMW 320i's. So it'll be interesting to see, well, I've already started teasing Frankie, but it'll be interesting to see how many decal liveries come out for this. There's always some very famous Macau liveries, like the Watson's livery, and other things. So this is the first of many. There were, 6 total different BMWs that they were going to, or no, 4 total different BMWs they were going to do. Some of them are one tool, some of them the other. So this is the first of basically 3 different variants that are going to come off of this base tooling. And yeah, I'm excited. Why wouldn't I be? It's a touring car, right? But this is a first run test shot. They just got it in before the show. So this would be, theoretically speaking, the next new tool behind the 2 Mitsubishis within the first half of 2018. That doesn't mean that things won't get pushed around. That doesn't mean that it couldn't come out before the Mitsubishis. It all depends on development. It all depends on licensing. It all depends on all that sort of thing. Now, of course, BMAX has an active BMW license from the M3 kits, as well as being the licensee of BMW for Nunu and the M6s. So there's a theoretical possibility that it could come out first, especially if it's a more conventional curbside where it doesn't need a lot of engine components, where they could mold, do a lot of that sort of molded in detail the way that some of the other curbside touring cars have had. So I'm not making any promises as to what comes out, where, what, but those 3 kits will be the next things that are first up, if you will, in 2019. Now you'd be like, well, what does that even mean, relatively speaking? Well, that's because we have these prototype shots to show you of some other projects that are being worked on by BMAX right now. First up is the, we've shown you several of these, but now there's actually concrete things to look at rather than it just being a 3D CAD image. The rapid prototype print of the Porsche 911 Group B rally car. A lot of people were already commenting that the lower body sole shouldn't be there on this car. Maybe it should, maybe it shouldn't. It seems to be, at least from the conversations I've had with people who know their Porsches, that this car, as it stands right here, basically can make 2 different Group B rally cars, and that's it. It is not a wide spectrum Group B Porsche 911. It is very specific to 2 different liveries of cars from 1984 specifically. So whether or not that lip for the bottom rocker gets taken in like it should, or whether or not, again, this is very specific to these 2 cars, remains to be seen. Then you have this, which is, of course, the prototype of the Peugeot 306 Maxi. So this is showing you that this car is going to at least have the option to have the night racing parts. More than likely, I'm going to say those are going to be separate like they would be in most other kits, but that is something that will be coming soon. Something that just got announced. We didn't actually get a chance to show you, so this is new to everybody who doesn't follow me on forums and Facebook and things like that, is this kit, which is a Nissan Sunny Datsun 1200. A lot of people call this Datsun 1200, but Datsun 1200 was the export version, and this is not what this is. This is a Nissan Sunny from the 1970s. This will basically, or maybe the very, very early 1980s. This basically would be the two-door hatchback, almost fastback. It's not really a hatchback, but a two-door fastback version of the pickup truck. The Hasegawa pickup trucks are Nissan Sunnies, right? Well, this is the car version of that, rather than it being the truck version. The Nissan Sunnies were raced in a group called ST1300, which was a 1300cc engine limit minor touring series. What does that sound like? That sounds like a Hasegawa Civic. Now, these two cars, I don't think technically overlap in terms of the Hasegawa Civic, the Team Yamato kit, and this. I think they're a little bit separated as far as the years go. However, it is the same exact touring series that supported the Fuji Grand Champions series that this would belong to. So, hey, okay, that's kind of interesting. But why that? Well, then we got this. This was a surprise announcement. This was not known ahead of the show. This is, a lot of people were already at home screaming and yelling because this is one of those things that a lot of people have requested. This car was exported to the United States. This isn't, but the car itself was. This is a Toyota Starlet. This would be your predecessor to the Toyota Tercel, if nothing else, but this would really be the car that came before the AE86 Corolla 11 and Corolla Trueno. This also ran in the 1300cc minor touring division, so now you're starting to see, and I can't say if Hasegawa was to blame for it or if these kits were already in development, because really the Hasegawa kit hasn't been out really long enough for BMAX to be sitting around going, damn, that's some nice sales they got on that. We could get on this train too. So I'm assuming that this was just sort of a unilateral move that happened to work out. Yeah, so this is the exact same thing. Now, this Toyota Starlet, I believe, is the early 1980s, so I'm not, again, sure that it would necessarily have raced against any of the other kits, but it's the same touring series. So now we're starting to see development of, and why not, really, because, heck, I'll buy anything, a minor touring series involving Japanese economy cars. Sign me up. Sell me all you got. Why not at this point? So anyway, it's really cool. I think it's great. It's odd. It's neat. It's just fun to see people doing things that you wouldn't necessarily assume would have been done. I mean, these kits, I think there's like a 127th Starlet and there's like a 123rd Sunny. There were race car kits from like I can't think of the name. It was there and it left. But it was just, you know, they're not 124 scale kits. I think there actually might be a 124 scale Nissan Sunny of that. Might be the Doyoshu, now owned by Doyoshu, but I think that was something else back in the day. But at any rate, this stuff. It's just very fun to see BMAX's projects because they cover a lot of stuff that, for lack of a better term, was like, well, why wasn't that ever made in the first place? You would have thought that, you know, that would have been popular back in the day. A friend of mine was like, this is what happens when Gen X gets control of the model companies. Now, I don't necessarily know that it's that, per se, but it is fun to see some things getting made that sort of fall in that huge cavernous gap of the 1970s and the 1980s. So, before we go, 3 more things. I'm going to leave the best stuff to what I feel is last. What we saw also at the show was this. This is a parts runner layout for the upcoming 1/16th scale Revell Porsche 356 Cabrio. There is also going to be a 356, I believe it's a B, that's a snap tight kit. This is going to be the glue kit. Now, some people have pointed out that this seems a little clunky for a glue kit, and it seems a little simplified. Understand that obviously the glue kit is going to share some parts with the snap tight kit. You know, particularly in the things that are really big and would be, you know, obviously missing if you didn't put them in the snap tight kit, like the engine block, like the engine, the engine cover. They have very large mounting posts. They have very large mounting slots. It's very clear that those pieces, some of them are from the Snap-Tight kit. And then you get into a bunch of little fine pieces like hoses and belts and turn signals and mirrors and things like that obviously are not out of the glue kit or out of the Snap-Tight kit itself. So, but anyway, it was very interesting to see this, only because the Revell of Germany, that was underneath the control of Hobbico, never sent this kind of stuff to Japan. Now, I don't believe that they had anybody there, per se. I think this just got sent out to HobbyLink Japan via the fact that they have a company called the Beaver Corporation, huddle, Scott Hards, that imports Revell and a bunch of other things as far as selling non-Japanese kits to both their Japanese customers and to their overseas customers. So they import things like Revell, they import things like Trumpeter, Meng, HK, all of the not made in Japan companies, they import through a company and then sell back out either through they have a domestic company that you can't buy from as a United States citizen because they only sell internally within Japan, and then they of course have HobbyLink Japan that sells to everybody. So this was at the Beaver Corporation display, but again, it is the first time that they have had anything on display in a Japanese model show that I'm aware of. So interesting to see the new ownership taking a little bit of a step forward and showing off their product. So that's coming in December globally. The Coupe, the Snap-Tight kit, is supposed to be coming, I believe, in the end of October, beginning of November. So that kit's not quite out yet. One other thing that we'll talk about, race car wise, that is not an actual kit, will be this. This is the Good Smile Company. Now, they are the company that nominally licenses all of the stuff to do with Good Smile Racing, Racing McCoo, all of the things about this. They're doing a set of decals for the Tamiya AMG GT3 kit that represent the car as it ran in the 2017 24 Hours of Spa. We teased these back when these were announced at Shizuoka, and now there appears to be at least prototypes of them done because they built a model kit out of it. It does appear that this decal sheet is not going to be enough for you to build both out of one decal sheet per se. I don't think. At least it doesn't look like it, but it allows you to build either the presentation build, which is the red car, as it's shown there, the race trim build, which is the other set of decals over on the right-hand side of the decal sheet. Although one person Andrew did point out to me that if you were going to build this, no, not Andrew, John pointed out to me if you're going to build this race spec, it should be carbon fiber with a red right door, a red driver's hand door with the Miku girl on it, because the car had a rather serious accident in practice and did not run in a way that would be recognized as either of those two decal liveries. But at any rate, I don't know when those decals are coming. They were teased in May. They're being shown again at the end of September. So hopefully before the end of 2018 would be my guess. If you really want to do your GSR stuff, well, you're going to need two sets, because I could tell, at least if nothing else, there isn't a second Blancpain number header involved there, so you need another windshield header. And then last but not least, the thing that I've been sitting on here because it's the most fun stuff as far as I'm concerned, is the stuff out of Nunu Hobby. Now, Nunu Hobby, we've talked about before, is basically just BMAX with a different distributor. It is projects that Platts is paying BMAX to manufacture for them and then sort of sell through this third-party company arrangement. It's a little weird, it's a little wacky, but if it gets me model kits of things I want to build, I don't give a crap how many shell companies you want to put this through in order to make it work out. So the first thing we got was this, which was not at the show, unfortunately, because of some snafu with the mailing system between Macau and Japan. Apparently it was stuck at the airport with everyone else's luggage. It is a first round test shot, or possibly beyond first round test shot, of the upcoming Porsche 911 RSR GT3 kit. They say it's a GT3 kit. From the looks of it, to me, it is a 2018 GT Le Mans spec car, more than a GT3 spec car, which would basically give it 4 liveries. The 2 special liveries from the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the Pink Pig and the Rothmans livery, and then the factory 911, 912 livery that they ran in the rest of World Endurance. I believe also GTLM would give it the ability to run in the IMSA classes, but obviously New Hobby is not really going to be pulling a U.S. livery out of their backside. They're going to do something else. I think the GT3 kit, the car has more than one front canard as well. But then again, this is probably going to be like the M6, where there's going to be a couple, 3 different versions of this. So I wouldn't get your panties in too tight a wad looking at this, going, it's not exactly what I expected it to be. Because again, I would expect that there are a couple different versions. If they do, if nothing else, you take that center exhaust exit. There are twin pipes right underneath the back of the the center of the rear. If you take those things, you put them out on the very edges of this splitter, so they would fall basically as a twin exhaust rather than like dual exhaust. That would make it a 2017 version without really doing too much other changes to the body and the aerodynamics package. So, at any rate, that is apparently a great deal closer than I was expecting it to be. I was kind of hoping we might see something out of it, but the fact that it's in plastic gives me hope that we'll see this sometime maybe in the first half of 2019 rather than it being an 18-month delay-laden sojourn the way the M6 was. So we'll keep you up to date on that kit. And then the new announcement that they made just prior to the show and we're advertising heavily at the show is this. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a 2018 Audi R8 LM GT3. Someone has taken the giant flying leap into Volkswagen Group and secured some licensing. I can only hope that we go back in after the Lamborghini Huracan next, and then maybe somebody will have some balls to go after the Ferrari GT3, because if you could get the M6, the AMG, the Porsche, and this kit, along with the Lamborghini and the Ferrari, you would have pretty much everything that runs GT3. People are screaming at their video. Yes, I know. There is a Bentley running. Yes, I know there is a McLaren running. Yes, I'm aware of the fact that there is this NSX GT3 that for some reason everybody seems to want, even though the car doesn't run in that many series as of yet. Because really, as far as GT3 goes, other than like home Japanese Super GT and a couple of cars that are in IMSA WeatherTech, that car has run specifically and exactly one European race at this point, and that's the 24 Hours of Spa. Next year, it'll be in Blancpain, probably more, and then maybe you can get my support behind it, but it's very hard for me to justify, knowing my financials of modeling, issuing a kit that doesn't have a lot of options as far as the liveries go, a lot of support goes. Very difficult for me to say, hell yeah, make a car that is specific to this model year, and then the next version of the car is significantly different, and that's the one that gets a lot of support behind it and is a winning car and things like that, because now you have this model of something that is out of date, which is very, one of those things with modern racing. The 911 RSR, great example of that. There's already a 2019 spec Porsche that they're going to be racing next year that doesn't have anything to do with that 2018 car. That 2018 car, they can take and they can move some things around, and they can make pretty much every Porsche 911 RSR from like 2015 to now, and there's lots of build options within that, whether it's resin people that do it or Nunu does it itself, but that car is out of date. It's already, before it is even seen a test shot, out of date. The Audi will probably be not out of date wildly, but it's going to have a different aero package in 2019. So it's just the issue with modern race cars. We've talked about this a couple of different times, and so it's very, like I said, very hard for me to support the idea of getting very adamant about them releasing a specific car that is this, because for some reason people seem to think that Tamiya has this NSX street car kit, so making a GT3 car would be simple, but it's be completely unrelated tooling, other than the fact that both cars are an Acura. But again, let that car develop out. I would, what a car that's developed out that has a GT3 following that I like to see now? The Lexus GT3. That car has been around for a couple of seasons, and it's racing in pretty much every major series out there. It's in IMSA, it's in Blancpain, it's in Asia, it's in Super GT. Okay, there is a sort of a lesser used but now more popular GT3 platform. If the NSX gets there, then by all means, give me that too. But right now, if you want to make the vast majority, and you can leave the Ferrari part out, if you want to make the vast majority of liveries out there, you need the Beamer, the Benz, the Audi, and the Lamborghini. Because Ferrari does sell a GT3 customer racing program, but a lot of their stuff is in the GTLM class. They're really, you know, racing against the Ford GT and the Porsche 911 GTLM. You know, they'll sell you one, but it's not their main racing focus. Obviously, F1 is obviously their main racing focus. But anyway, guys, blathering complete. You are now well informed. Like I said, there's some things there that you did not know about going into this video because we have not talked about them in a weekly video as of yet. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, thank you to everybody who went to the show and was able to provide pictures in some form or fashion so we could share them with you. And we'll see you guys next time.